Okay, so today's live stream is going to be a little bit different than sometimes. You see, there's been a movie that came out not too long ago, and the title of it is Music. And one of the characters' names is Music, and it's supposed to be an autistic girl in the setting of the movie. Now, this movie called Music was apparently directed and produced by the famous singer known as Sia. And I've been a fan of her work, even though I only know a few songs by her. Apparently, she actually did that one song that was at the end of the My Little Pony movie. So that's how I first found out about Sia. Now, this movie would not actually get as much attention as it does. In fact, most of the attention this movie gets is negative attention because there are a few criticisms of this movie. And so here's the thing about this movie that I want to talk about is people criticize this movie. There may be spoilers, so just be warned about that. Basically, the plot is that a recovering drug addict has to take care of her younger sister, who is apparently autistic, though I don't believe it was actually stated as such in the movie. Clearly, she has some form of disability. Could be autism, could be something else. But I don't believe it's stated in the movie. Now, this movie was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I watched it with my mom today, and she enjoyed it too. So it's a pretty good movie, but I find that it really centers on people and how they treat music. I feel like in the movie, what was nice about this girl named Music is that she had a very supportive neighborhood, a supportive community. Everyone knew who she was, and every day she had the same routine. She had to have the same breakfast. She had to have her hair braided a certain way, and she had to go on a walk on a certain route. So yeah, it's a good movie, and I liked it. But there are two criticisms that people commonly have of this movie. There's probably more that I'm not aware of yet, but I want to talk about this because one of the criticisms that people have is that the actress playing Music is herself not autistic. And apparently, Sia has received a lot of hate for not casting an autistic person in an autistic role. And first, let me just say, can we keep something straight? Movies are fiction. Movies occasionally represent reality, but people are not always are not identical. Who they are in real life and their different level of disability is not the same in real life as it is in the movie. Keep in mind that take the famous example of an autistic person, Temple Grandin. Well, she didn't even play in her own movie about her. Okay, so even though the real Temple Grandin is alive, at least last I knew, there was a movie made about her, and some different actress played Temple Grandin in the movie. So let's just face it, movies made about people's lives, even that are supposedly based on a true story, are not always played by the actual person. Like, for example, Abby Johnson didn't play Abby Johnson in the movie Unplanned, which is based off of the book written by the real Abby Johnson. So let's just get straight that people may be autistic in real life, or they may not, but people play different roles in movies. So first of all, this criticism I find invalid because somebody doesn't have to be autistic themselves to play an autistic character in a movie, any more than somebody has to be transgender to play a transgender character in a movie. And you might think, well, nobody would say that, right? Nobody would say that you have to be transgender to play a transgender character in a movie, would they? Well, people have. You know that movie, The Danish Girl? Well, people criticize that movie because the guy who played Einor slash Lily in the movie The Danish Girl was not transgender. It's like, so now actors have to be identical in their personal lives to the role that they play in every single movie. Who made that rule up? People need to just chill, okay? Movies are meant to entertain people, but sometimes they're meant to tell a story. Now, that story may be fiction, nonfiction, that's for you to decide. But people don't have to play the same role in a movie as they do in real life, okay? I'm sure there have been plenty of people who have played roles of various gender identities and sexual orientations in movies while their own identity has not changed. But there is a second criticism of this movie. The second criticism of this movie that I commonly see is that it doesn't represent all autistic people. Of course it doesn't, because first of all, autism is a wide spectrum, okay? There's a lot of different forms of autism. There's some that are Asperger's or high functioning autism, and that's me, for example. I definitely have Asperger's syndrome. And so I am autistic, but I am not the same type of autistic that some people are. And some autistic people don't really talk. Some don't talk at all. And some have really hard time communicating. I have hard enough time communicating as it is and relating to people, but I'm high functioning and I've overcome a lot of my disabilities over time. Some people don't even believe that I am autistic, which kind of annoys me because I am definitely autistic. My mother will tell you what I was like when I was younger. But I don't have the same freak out sessions that I used to have. But watching this movie about this autistic girl really reminded me of myself, because the primary difference is that I was always able to talk better than she does in the movie, obviously. But I have seen many videos of autistic kids, whether just real videos in documentaries, and of course, there's also other movies, which of course, let's be reminded again, movies are fiction. A lot of the time, movies are fiction, and there is no actor who can play any role in any movie that represents all people of a certain spectrum. Let's get something straight. Not all autistic people are the same. Not all transgender people are the same. Not all gay people or straight people are the same. Not all vegans are the same. Let's get something straight here, okay? People are different. People are different, and they live different lives. They have different identities. And so this movie, which is actually pretty good, let's look at some details of this movie, and we may read some comments because this is interesting. I like this movie, and right now there's I just have it paused here, and it has the little description and the length and when it was created, and the director and one of the producers and writers is Sia, and there's some other people involved. And I bought this on March 7th, and it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. And there are a lot of comments on this movie, and people are fighting in the comments section about some crazy stuff, you know. People have a lot of criticism, you know, for a movie called Music. This is incredibly tone deaf. And then there's 4 replies to that. And then there's another one. If this was just a movie about a girl struggling with addiction and sobriety, and music wasn't in it, and it wasn't written and directed and produced by Sia, and Sia had nothing to do with this movie, it was a completely different movie, it would actually be good. So why are people hating on Sia so bad? You know? Huh. Let's see. My poor cousin, who is on the spectrum and is a big fan of Maddie, was so excited for this. Wow, this comment blew up. There's 14 replies. Weird. Man, I mean, I would never be able to go through all of the comments on here because there's a lot of comments. But a lot of people have, you know, Sia, Sia apparently deleted her own Twitter account because she was receiving so many tweets by the thousands criticizing her for her movie, saying it was the worst thing ever and that she was stereotyping autistic people. And I even read an article that Sia supposedly stated that the character Maddie was based off of videos of the way certain autistic children act. And I have seen videos where autistic children do, go into fits of rage or just completely panic and freak out when the routine isn't met. So there was a lot of what happened based on other things I had seen related to autism and even my own experiences as a child, and certain things like super sensitive hearing and the sensory overload, too much happening at once. I even still suffer from that today, but I've learned how to handle it. I've had to learn that I can't react that way, even though I feel like it on the inside. But it's a movie. That's what I want to say is, it is a movie and it's to be enjoyed. And if you don't enjoy it, then fine, But I just think that Sia received a little bit too much hate over this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a movie, and a movie is not meant to represent something, because no matter how good of a job somebody tries to do in a movie, they're never going to be able to completely represent all characters that are related to that sort of thing. So, it's like, how a lot of movies, for example, a lot of movies will have mostly white people, but then there'll be like one black person or maybe two black people in it. And somebody could say that they're stereotyping all black people because the one black person there is in a movie, it acts a certain way, and that it will stereotype all black people that way. But people are weird. Like, let's face it, people stereotyped people and made assumptions about huge groups of people long before movies. And rather than say that Sia should have done a better job at directing this movie, instead, I would say that people need to get over their expectations. People need to get over this idea that the fictional movies that people make are supposed to be educating everybody in reality. A lot of people, for example, when it comes to autism, a lot of people have said that Sheldon Cooper, from the Big Bang Theory, is a representation of autistic people. And I have to say, that character does represent a certain type of nerdy, high-functioning autism where they lack social skills but are super smart in other areas. And that series was really funny, too. It had a lot of characters. So I just feel like the criticism of this movie by Sia are just generally not valid. And I guess there isn't too much to say about that. And there are probably other weird theories about why this movie is bad that I haven't even read, because it's not worth the time. All I know is I really enjoyed that movie, and I think the world is better for it having been made. And as a final note, I just want to read the comment I left on here. I said, "Why is it so much hate on this movie? Yes, I know not all autistic people are like the girl music in this movie, but there are some parts that are accurate to the nonverbal type of autism and the sensory overload that causes them to panic. But there is no such thing as a person playing a role that is going to represent all kinds of autistic people any more than any other group of people." So that's basically what I had to say in my comment, and that's basically what I said in this video. So I do hope that people get the point. I hope that people learn from this, because you may have decided that you like or dislike this movie, but that's not the large point. The larger point is, don't expect a movie to represent all people of a certain demographic, of a certain type of a person. And autism, I gotta say, there's a lot of things, but autism is probably one of the most easily misunderstood things, because autism is a little bit hard to describe. Like, you know it when you see it, sometimes, but not always, because a person might think of autistic people as somebody who doesn't talk and who screams when there's loud noises around. And that might be true of some people, but other people might be autistic, but they might look so normal, and they might live alone and work a job and seem to be a fine person, but then they may still struggle socially when it comes to making friends, not knowing how to relate to people. And that definitely applies to me. In fact, I was actually reminded of this simple fact recently, because I recently was under criticism of a certain friend about some of my videos that are very cringe. And he was trying to say that if I want to do those type of videos, I could just make them private or unlisted and then share them with people. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't work, because I don't know which of my videos are cringe or not. That's just silly. And besides that, I've decided I'm not going to be making any changes to my YouTube channel, because my YouTube channel, I like it the way it is. I like it that I can talk about serious things sometimes, but I can also dance and sing sometimes and just goof off. I like that, because what we need in the world is more variety. We don't need each person to be only about one thing. And I don't want to be about one thing, you know? Look, when I die, I don't want the one thing people to remember about me was that I'm vegan, or that I'm transgender, or that I'm autistic, or that I did a belly dance. I don't want them to remember any one thing. Rather, I want them to understand the full spectrum of who I am and what I did. And people are complex. And bottom line is, nobody could represent a person in a movie. Nobody could even play themselves in a movie and represent every facet of their character, because that's something you see over a lifetime of the way a person is and what they do. So anyway, I guess that's really all I wanted to say about this, but this movie was receiving so much hate and there's so much craziness, and I'm like, come on. People criticize the Danish Girl. They criticize this movie, music. People criticize that new Mulan movie. It seems every movie that there's somebody who wants to criticize and just wants to hate on that movie, and then wants to get the people, the actors or the producers or whatever, canceled, and wants to get that movie banned. And it's like, come on, calm down, people. Just because we're in a pandemic and everybody's already on edge doesn't mean you have to get all that cranky. Like, seriously, can we all remember how to have some fun? Like, seriously, you know, people have forgotten how to have fun. And like think about it. Like, for example, what if people took Sailor Moon, you know, the cartoon Sailor Moon? What if people took the cartoon Sailor Moon and wanted it canceled and said it should be banned, and criticized the makers of it because they said it was stereotyping Japanese people or something like that? First of all, cartoons don't even come close to representing people in real life. But there's always somebody to criticize some TV show or here's a good one. One final thought I would like to leave you with is, you know, there were apparently people freaking out because there's actually supposedly two lesbian couples in My Little Pony. And in like the later seasons, there was two aunts that lived together. And first of all, there's no mention of sex in My Little Pony. So who's straight or gay is really not even mentioned. But there was apparently a lesbian couple near the end, Lyra and Bon Bon, I think it was, and they were throughout every season. But up until then, it was just kind of always assumed, well, they were just friends that are always together. But apparently, they're like a couple, like lesbians. So, but they're cartoon characters. They're pony cartoon characters. You know, calm down. Big deal. I mean, people are freaking out about cartoons and they're freaking out about movies thinking it represents reality, and it doesn't. And so this is just a reminder that, you know, movies are fiction. You may enjoy it or you may not enjoy it, but movies receive so much hate because sometimes people are just looking for something to complain about and they don't have enough to complain about in their life. So anyway, I just wanted to give that movie sort of a little review and just my opinions on that movie and how it turned out. I thought it was pretty good.